All right, folks, so we have here a model representing the human brain. We're viewing here the left and right cerebral hemispheres. We have here frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, cerebellum, temporal lobe. We're looking at the central sulcus, and we have here anterior to the central sulcus would be precentral gyrus, postcentral gyrus. Know that we have these folds. This would be a gyrus, multiple would be gyri. The indentations would be a sulcus, multiple would be, plural would be sulci. On the underside of our model, olfactory bulbs, olfactory tracts, optic chiasm, optic nerve, optic tracts, pons, medulla oblongata, spinal cord. All right, as we're looking at our sagittal head, we have here the cerebral hemisphere. This is a right cerebral hemisphere, the cingulate gyrus, corpus callosum, septum pellucidum, fornix, choroid plexus of the third ventricle. So this is the third ventricle. Here would be the cerebral aqueduct, fourth ventricle, anterior to the cerebellum with its white matter, the arbor vitae. We have here thalamus, hypothalamus, optic chiasma. Here's the pituitary gland, mammillary body. Pineal gland is right here. Pineal gland, aka pineal body. We have here the corpora quadrigemina, cerebral peduncles of the midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, spinal cord. All right, folks, so we have here a model representing the human eye. We're looking at actually a right human eye. So a right human eye. We have here the nasal bone right here. So this is a right eye, and we're going to first look at the extraocular muscles of the eye, and we're going to look at the recti muscles first. So the superior rectus, lateral rectus, medial rectus, inferior rectus. Then we have the superior oblique and the inferior oblique. So let's look from this view. So we have here superior oblique, inferior oblique, and those are the muscles of the eye that will allow for movement, and they are skeletal muscle. As we're looking at the model here, we have the cornea, this clear portion of the outer tunic, and the sclera, the white of your eye. We'll remove this piece of the model. And then we can view the iris, the pupil, and then the choroid region, which would be the middle layer of the eye, which is represented in this brown area of the model. Choroid. Here we're viewing cranial nerve number 2. Cranial nerve number 2, the optic nerve. We'll remove this portion of the model. And then we're viewing the lens and the vitreous humor, aka the vitreous body. Remove the lens. Remove the vitreous body, aka the vitreous humor. And let's look at the model from this perspective. And we're seeing here in white, these white lines represent the suspensory ligaments. Surrounding those white lines are the ciliary muscle. Turn the model in this direction. And what we're seeing is that we have the inner layer, which is the neural layer, the neural tunic. This is the retina. We see in the posterior aspect the optic nerve entering into the inner region. So this is the optic disc. And adjacent to it, this purple dot, is the fovea centralis of the macula of the retina. All right, folks, so we have here a model of the human ear. And we're looking at first the external ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. Okay? So first we'll look at the external ear, and we look at the auricle, aka the pinna. We have here the external acoustic meatus, aka the external auditory canal. Then next we have the tympanic membrane. So let's look at that in a little better light here. The tympanic membrane. We have two of the ossicles of the middle ear. We have the malleus, which is directly connected to the tympanic membrane. And then we have here, articulating with, and then we have the next bone, the incus, here. And then lastly, the stapes. And the stapes is connected to, is really covering the oval window. So Malleus incus stapes, oval window. Then before we move on, I wanted to show you that we have here in the middle ear, the pressure is equalized via this eustachian tube, aka the auditory tube. Then we come to the components of the inner ear. So I'm holding right now the semicircular canals, the vestibule, the cochlea, and here we have the cochlear portion of cranial nerve number 8, the vestibular portion of cranial nerve number 8, and actually cranial nerve number 7 is the inferior aspect right here of this model. Okay? So we have vestibulocochlear nerve, cranial nerve number 8, cranial nerve number 7, a portion of a branch of it is right here, inferior aspect of the model. Then we also have, so I mentioned the oval window. Here is the round window. Round windows right here on the underside of the vestibule. Okay? Inner ear.